Alrighty, I think it started on my end. Yes, it is.
Alright, I'll let you do the intros and things for now.
No.
No, what do you mean no? You're the one. This is your topic.
No.
Just no. Sorry, guys. Podcast is gone.
Yeah,
I'm nervous now.
so am I because you said that I had to do it, so that's why I'm making you do it.
Just it's so weird because it's like you just start. You're like, all right, intro. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our very first podcast episode of Wait, Let Me Explain. I'm one of your hosts, Kawaa, and I'm here with, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Himiko. I'm the other host.
And you have the topic for today, so.
Yes, I do. So, our first podcast of our series is going to be called Life Without Internet. And it's just going to go in depth of just asking questions about, of course, living your life without the internet. So, we can just start off with a simple one for you, Kawa.
Okay.
Have you ever gone a full day without the internet?
Not since I was a kid, not gonna lie. Which is crazy to me because like our phones and our internet and stuff, like it's so ingrained into our lives, right? Like especially well, me and you are both like in our 20s and we basically were at like the beginning of when the internet kind of popped off and we're just seeing like generations after it just kind of like also be integrated into it and it's just
Yeah, I mean, like, I have my nephew, of course, and like, he's always on like the tablet or always on like the TV, and he's 5.
that's wild.
Like, to think that, like, I know I started a little early. I got a phone whenever I was 8. I know more people didn't get theirs till they're like 13 or so,
Mm.
but like, I was like heavily like put into it from the get-go. And that's partially because of my dad. My dad has always been like a big like techie.
Yeah.
Like he used to work at like a Radio Shack and like multiple different other like phone company places. So like it makes sense, but like
Wow.
I thought I started early, but my nephew is already
Yeah,
like
no.
engulfed in the
Yeah.
internet.
Like I definitely say I had like technology and stuff growing up. Like my mom was super into like gaming and all that, so we had all like those retro like N64 and like Super Nintendo and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
the internet, like I feel like that did not come into my life until maybe I was like yeah, like 13, like what you were saying.
I mean, mine might have been a little bit later. I'm just saying I got a phone whenever I was 8. Whenever I
Mm.
more got into internet would have been a little later because that would have been probably my Xbox 360 whenever I first like truly got into like the internet,
Yeah, makes
and that
sense.
would have been I would have probably been right around like I'd say like 13ish probably.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, like what about you? Have you spent like an entire day without internet before? Or?
I don't know if I've ever spent an entire day without internet, other than like of course like before having it and like some minor things like that, but for the most part, no. Like, not that I can even think of. I couldn't even tell you the last time I did not like have internet, not use the internet, because it's always for something. Even if it's something minor, like it could just be like, oh, I have a question. Let me look this up, or
Mhm. Yeah.
something along those lines. Like it's always something.
Yeah. Actually, I have a story for that. Like, one time, me and one of my friends, we were out and we were trying to find this one specific restaurant we saw on like a TikTok or a reel. And we kept like searching it up in the area because we knew it was like in the town we were in, but we could not find it until we went on TikTok and searched it up. And that alone is crazy because we could not find it on Google. And like, we were like, okay, let's try TikTok. And the fact that I'm sure a lot of people also use TikTok as like a search engine now rather than Google because it's just quick and efficient and there's like actual people like giving their own inputs and stuff into all that, you know?
Yeah, and honestly, that's something like I don't personally use TikTok, but I know like
Mm.
of course it is like a big thing for people to figure stuff out now. Like if you don't know, that's how 90% of people like around our age or younger like get their news.
Yeah.
Like people don't watch like the news anymore. They don't really like just like say see like a newsreel on their phone, it like on like the internet or something. It's pretty much TikTok.
Mhm. Yeah, no. It's
TikTok
crazy.
and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah, no. I don't like I think like at least when I was a kid, like if I'm thinking about what I did when I was like not on the internet, I would say is like, well, as a kid, like I definitely played with my toys a lot, but even so, I had a very like early fascination with cameras. So my mom had like this digital camera, and that's when I started recording. Was like me and my brother would just like play with our toys and make little stories with them. So I feel like not internet necessarily, but like technology has always been in my life. But I guess it's like
Hmm.
just the way you use it too. Like I wonder if like kids nowadays use it in like a more creative way like that, or if they just kind of do what they see is happening already.
I mean, the whole like creativity part, I feel like is widely seen that it is used more like probably now than it was before in that way. Because like looking at the case of, we can once again go back to TikTok. We could talk about cameras. Like a lot more people, especially the younger generation, or like the younger people around our age, like right around like here, a lot of them like put a lot more of their faces online. I know whenever I was
Mm.
younger, like, oh, I wanted to be a YouTuber, I wanted to be a Twitch streamer, whatever.
Mm.
But like, if people would say that, not many would do it. But if you look at like the amount of people who post stuff to TikTok, even if it's something minor,
Yep.
it is like all the time. It is
Mhm.
like a very like heavily like done thing. So I feel like, well, there are certain things the internet is pushing us away from. I think it is allowing for more people to be more like out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I wonder, sometimes I wonder cuz like well, when I first got Instagram, I got it because my sister was like, "Get this thing." And I was like, "All right." Kind of had no choice. And then like suddenly everyone in my class had it. Like for people who are growing up in like maybe middle school or even before that, do they see like social media as like especially TikTokers and like actual creators, do they see that as like this is what it's for, or do they see it as like I just have an Instagram like because what I'm saying is, I guess everyone is starting to like slowly like make their own content, even if they're not like their main goal isn't to be a content creator. Everyone just kind of like has their own, like they make their social media like their own little like curated like version of themselves, you know?
Well, yeah, because then like a lot of people, like even if it's not meant, oh, they want to be a content creator, they don't, or they don't want to be a social media influencer. Like a lot of the time, it's the case of like, oh, hey, you went to randomly say Fiji, like boom, you're posting pictures of that.
Yeah.
Or you went to a concert, you're posting videos of that.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
like, even if you don't mean to be a content creator, or you don't mean to be like on the internet for that case, most people are. And
Yeah.
and it's like a very like fascinating thing to kind of just like watch, because like so many people are like, oh, like I'm not that reliant on it, or like I could go without my phone, but then are like constantly doing stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like I know like the internet dynamic has shifted since we were younger. Like before it was like everything has to be perfect. Everyone has to have like the most perfect lives, and now it's kind of more geared towards like everyone wants to be more vulnerable and be themselves and all that. And it makes you wonder like because there's some people out there who genuinely do not post or do not have a need to post. So, I guess maybe that's just like our generation and maybe like the one after us, like our form of just like socialization rather than meeting up in like I don't know, maybe some people do meet up in person and stuff, like they obviously still do, but I feel like it's like a different form of interacting with people and like broadcasting like who you are as a person, because you look at like someone's Instagram, you're like, oh, this person is like this archetype, or like this person likes this stuff, or they're like a nerd, or like they're really sporty, or whatever the case may be. And you can really kind of just make it whatever you want to be. Like I remember when I was younger and I had like an art account, and like no one knew who I was. It was like under an anonymous name, but I would only post art stuff and I was known as like an art person. Whereas my personal one was like more like just like I didn't really have much. I didn't really put much of my personality into that Instagram, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't like. I don't post anything, which
That's
you
true.
you could probably tell because of course you have me like on Snapchat and Instagram. I
Yeah.
never post.
Yeah.
Like here and there, I'll throw like a quick like small thing in there that just is like, oh, like, hey, I just went to a concert. Like, oh, I just went to this. I thought it was cool. Or I took a really nice picture I really liked. But it's very rarely that I do that. And
Mm.
if I do that, it's just like a story. Like
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, it's on my page forever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for me, I
But
I like I started posting more. more of my life when I decided I wanted to go down the YouTube route, but I remember before that it was like I didn't really have much of a need for it. But I don't know. Yeah. What about you?
I mean, like I said, I still don't really have like much of a need for it. I don't use it. I never really have. I don't really care. Like I could genuinely, like I think I could go without social media forever.
Yeah. I feel like it would be more
Like
peaceful.
I genuinely think I could because I don't post. The only thing I use social media for really, other than of course if you consider YouTube technically,
Mm,
is like texting people.
that's true.
But like realistically, like I could just like give people my number and it would do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I could so like realistically, I think if I wanted to, I could go without Snapchat, Instagram. Of course, I don't even have TikTok.
Mhm.
Like I don't have the stuff for like that specific reason as to share my life. It's more just to talk to people.
Yeah, yeah, no. Well, it's really hard because you get caught up like let's say you do go on Instagram, like it is so easy to just like fall into like the reel section and just start scrolling and scrolling.
Well, I won't say I don't do that. I
Yeah.
I do that,
Yeah.
and that's because I do have the thing. But I'm saying in the case of I don't go on Instagram to like, oh, let me check how Kawa's doing, or
Mhm.
like, let me post this stuff about my life. I solely go on there just because like, oh, I'm messaging someone, or I'm bored and I'm gonna scroll through reels.
Yeah.
Which once again, I could go without. It just kind of becomes the main time I scroll through reels is when someone texts me.
Yeah.
Like if say you would text me, I'd respond and scroll through reels for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah. That's
I don't
mhm.
I don't usually end up on social media until then.
Yeah. No, I did delete TikTok actually because I was doom scrolling too much. And as much as I want to tell myself like, yeah, I could go a whole day without it, I'd actually dropped my phone in water like a month ago, and that's when it hit me. I was like, my phone is like my life. I have my money on there, I have my passwords, I have my texts, I have my numbers of people, I have my social media. Like I have like I'm sure this applies to everyone. Everyone has their entire lives on a little device, and if you lose that little device, it's like, what do you do?
Well, so that's like a big thing, especially that is talked about in like the art world.
Mm.
So as you know, but for others that don't, I'm in college for digital media. But a big thing that's always talked about is save everything you do on another device. If that's a flash drive, if that's a
Mm.
computer, if that's write it down.
Yep.
Always save it in another way because you never know what's going to happen. Because,
100%.
like, to take it for an example, going back to like the past and everything, the amount of like old systems and everything for like technology that was completely say shut down, it's like kind of insane to think about. Like, what says that say the app you're using to keep the notes does isn't going to get shut down? What says that
Mhm.
your actual phone isn't just going to be like bricked? What's to say all like this type of stuff? Like it is like a like heavily probable thing to eventually happen
Mm.
when who knows technology increases at extremely fast rate, honestly.
Yep.
But it's like
Yeah.
what what do you do if it does happen? Like if you don't have those other places. Like for me, for an example, I know I'm told a lot to save it other places, but everything is on my phone. Like
Mhm.
yeah, I
Yep.
can I know ways where I can say recover like my text messages or my notes because I'm doing all my stuff is pretty much through Google.
Yeah.
So like I can easily go on the computer and pull up the exact same stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But for say stuff people who use software that's not saved through Google is not just saved on like the cloud or like they keep it like without ever backing anything up. It's like you could just lose it all in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And you know what? Since I like speaking of that, like since I dropped my phone in water and I didn't have it for like 48 hours, I actually started writing in a notebook now, like all my ideas, all my like what I want to do with content and what I want to do with my life period. Like I started writing that down on paper cuz I'm like at least my paper can't get like shut down or like I can't like break. Yeah, you can rip up paper, but like what are the odds of that happening, you know?
Yeah,
And
and I mean like stuff can happen no matter how you save it.
Mm.
Like for a primary example of like that, like look at like certain like old buildings or like abandoned buildings. Like I will tell you about whenever I went to like uh I went to the Waverly Hills Sanatorium, which is a haunted sanatorium that or supposedly haunted sanatorium that like have had so many people die. They currently have, I think it was 11,000 people on record dying there,
Oh my god.
and that's after the place one caught fire and lost most of their records, and two
Right. Yeah.
flooded and lost even more of their records.
Yeah.
So like yeah, anything can happen. Like you could save it paper, you could save it
Mhm.
technology. There's always stuff that could happen, but that's why you always want to try to make sure you have like the multiple cases if that's the case of saving it on your phone, saving it on like writing it on paper, also putting it on a computer, taking pictures and throwing it on a USB, whatever.
Yeah.
Something. Like
Having like
always having like
multiple.
that backup plan. Exactly.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No. I know you said you had other questions for me, so I'm kind of curious. What are they?
Well, yeah. So we've kind of were like bounce like teetering on some of them. So like another one was um like meant like stuff like for like social media stuff like that. So like another one I have that's not like too hard. Going back to the previous question of asking if you've ever gone without internet, how long do you realistically think you could go without internet?
Well, like I said, I did drop my phone, and I remember those 48 hours. I was like, what do I do with my time? Like, yeah, I have my PC and I can game and stuff, but like, I was kind of bored of it, not gonna lie. But then, you know what? I realized that not having your phone makes you find other ways to entertain yourself because when you're sitting in your room and you have nothing else to do and just stare at a wall, you're like, I don't want to do this the entire time. So I started scrapbooking, and then I also, at one point, played Mario Galaxy on my Switch because I forgot I downloaded it. And so it was
Hmm.
like the best thing ever because I felt like I was back to being a kid. You know when you had like those specific games that don't always have like consistent updates and stuff. They were just like one story and you just play through it. And that
Hmm.
to me, I think it's just because I've been like on social media for so long and like constantly like getting content from like other sources and stuff that it felt nice to just kind of be in like one thing, and that was like there was like limits to it, you know? Like when you play Mario
But
Galaxy,
that's
like if you don't know,
that's
it's
sometimes just like it feels nice. Like, sorry to cut you off there,
no,
but
you're
like
good, you're good.
just I'm just kind of like backing up like your what you're saying there. Like for an
Yeah.
example, like not long ago, I'm not really playing it now. I went back and like started like playing a Pokemon game,
Yeah.
and like honestly, I've always loved Pokemon. It's like it is very simplistic
Mhm.
type of game, but it's like the case of like as you said, it's kind of nice to just sit there and play these games like oh they're not really updated or there's not really changes to it, but you could just choose how you play. You're not worrying about like oh am I gonna see someone else? Is someone else gonna change this? Like what does somebody else want to do? It's just you. Like you can just sit there and do what you want for as little or as long as you want.
Yeah.
That's why I love Pokemon especially and like older games like Zelda and stuff like that. Just love being able to just go on my own rate pretty much.
Yeah, like there's going to be an ending to the game, so you can kind of pace it out the way you want. But with certain games I think that have like updates constantly, it's like there's no ending. So you're kind of just like left
Hmm.
to you're like, okay. Not like for me it's like I could just go in Valorant all the time. I'm like, "Oh, now to play Valorant again." But I guess it kind of contrasts like when we were younger and there was like certain games like I played like Nintendo games growing up and like a lot of GameCube games, and it was like you just play it from the start and then eventually there is a finish and then you move on to the next
Right,
game.
you play start to finish, or you
Mhm.
like play bits and pieces of it, and
Yeah.
like eventually maybe go back to like that same save, or decide to restart, or after you do beat it, maybe restart it anyways and try to do it a different way. Like I know, for an example, like Skyrim, like that one's always been a very popular like single player game,
Mm. Oh yeah.
and now they have all kinds of like different like DLCs as well. Like oh, you could there's DLCs where you can become like werewolves or vampires, like join different guilds, like so like that's the other fun thing about certain games like that is just being able to play it in different ways as well. Like it has that replayable factor
Mhm.
because you can like change how you play it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Um, yeah, no. You know what, like, I found was very nice about not having my phone, though, for those 48 hours?
What?
Was that like I was like sitting in my room and no one could contact me. And I know that sounds kind of like scary at first, but it was like no one's expecting me to respond, or at least like I texted people through email saying, "Hey, my phone's dead." So like, or my phone isn't working, so I can't really respond to anything. But it was the fact that I could just sit in my room and like no one's demanding my attention. Not that like I have to respond to people, but you know when you have like notifications and you're like, "I got to clear them," you know. It's
Well, yeah,
just
that's something that like I don't really have many people who message me in the first place,
mm,
but like I feel like nowadays, especially like at least for myself, there's so many times where like, oh, I will like set my phone down, but like feel like I have to check it or hear it vibrate and then get distracted because like I'm looking at the message or the notification or whatever it may be. It could be something as minor as like, oh, this game saying that it has an update, or it could be as big as like somebody messaging you about something urgent. But it's like the case of
mm,
how often does that really happen? That's something urgent. It's usually if someone messages you, it's just like, hey, how are you? Or like, hey, you want to hang out? Like stuff like that. So
I just send you reels.
sometimes it's right, right. So sometimes it is nice to just kind of be able to just exist without like having to worry about that or
Yeah.
without having to say look at your device or anything like that. But it's still like the case of like, and this goes into like another question of like, what would you even really do without the internet or without, say, even technology in general? Like, I know you somewhat covered that of like, without like the internet, like, yeah, you tend to like, you go to like older games like Mario Galaxy or like
Mm,
stuff like that and like scrapbooking.
mm.
Is there anything else that like you like really choose to do or would want to be able to do more often, but you feel like the internet and technology is kind of holding you back? Because, like, for me personally, as an example, I've always wanted to learn both piano and guitar. For years, I've wanted to
Mm.
learn, but it's like I just never do because, oh, I'm watching this show, or oh, my friend wants to game, or oh, yeah, I'll do it, but I'll do it in a little bit. I want to finish watching this video, and then you go down the doom spiral of now you are 6 videos in, it's 1 o'clock in the
Mm.
morning, and you still have not gotten up to do said thing. So, like, is there anything like specific like that for you that you feel like you're kind of getting held back from doing or would like to do,
Well,
but you can't really because of internet slash technology?
I think like I'm looking back to when I was younger because like I got an iPod when I was in like the 6th grade, but I never had like a phone until later. But in like those times, like I'm trying to think of like what would I do, and I'm like, what did I do as a kid to fill my time? And I guess I used to DIY a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff in my room before, like I would just make, and I kind of want to get back into that. Not gonna lie, and well, you know, I obviously I could just do it whenever, but you know, I am a like I do fall into the habit of doom scrolling when I don't mean to, because I'm like, oh, what's
Mm-hmm.
one video, and then what's two videos, and then I'm suddenly looking for something to like stimulate my brain, and then I just kind of like a constant like, oh, none of this is really doing that. And then you realize it's been 3 hours, and you're like, oh, I could have done something else with my time. And I feel like that's like a lot of us, we lose so much time, to the internet. And or even just on YouTube too. Like I love YouTube, don't get me wrong. But sometimes it's like I struggle to find like a video that just like makes me want to stay on there, you know? And
Well, honestly, like for myself, I've not been using YouTube really anymore. Like
mm,
I like the content creators that like I used to love or watch all the time or are like I just don't watch them.
yeah,
I don't know why, but it's just become a case of like I've just not really had like the want to. The only thing I really use YouTube for is like podcasts. Like I
mm,
listen to like distractables all the time. It's
yeah,
like other podcasts like that or like random things like smaller like that. Like I'll listen to some like science based podcast like at one point, and this is the most random thing. But for a while there, I I got into listening to podcasts about theoretical physics. So like
Really?
yeah, most random thing. And it wasn't like solely that, but like it had some talk about like of course like the string theory, different things like that.
Yeah.
And then others were like more like social construct type of
Right, right.
stuff. So like it was different, but it's like that's the only time I ever really use YouTube anymore is for podcasts. I'm much more of like my problem is TV shows.
Okay.
Like if you don't know, I'm trying to get through all of One Piece. I'm really trying.
It's gonna take
I
you a
am
while.
almost there. I am on like 1,060. So I'm like
Wow.
100-ish episodes off, if that.
Wow, that's insane. That's dedication.
Right, right. So, but it's like the problem with that is like that's what's kind of stopping me from doing other stuff. It's like, oh, there's a specific point that's coming up that I know comes up in a few episodes, and I really want to get to it.
Yeah.
So then I just continue watching episodes and get closer. Or it'll be like the case of I'll watch an episode and then I'll be like, oh, it left me like
Can't be
right in
left
the
on
middle of
a.
this fight, or right before
Yeah.
this fight, or right after this fight. But our characters are still like in like a tough situation. Like it makes you want to continue watching.
No, I've definitely been there. Yeah, no, I'm thinking about like, well, you said you like to listen to podcasts and stuff, right? I definitely think
Hmm.
like same thing here. Like I find when I'm like walking to and from places, I'll just like throw on a YouTube video or like a podcast that I can just listen to and like not have to like stare at. Um,
Yeah.
but then also I think about that too is how often like I go outside into the world and I still have my earphones in. And that's like another thing I think about a lot too is like should I have my earphones off more often because like what happened to just living and existing without listening to something? And I know a lot of people also listen to music when they do like XYZ and same thing here, you know? Like I feel like I can't clean without music, but then what happens when you turn it off? Like, you know?
Well, yeah, and I completely get that. Like for outside, I don't have that big of a problem because like I
Mm.
personally, I love the outdoors. I don't go outside too often,
Mhm.
but like whenever I was younger, I would go hiking with my family all the time. I
Mhm.
love hiking,
Mhm.
and like I still, of course, will have technology on me because like, but I don't use it too often. Like I would take pictures here and there, but that would really be about it. I'd try to like get myself away from it and not really listen to music. But like there's other stuff like driving. I'm
Mhm.
always either listening to a podcast or listening to music.
Right.
Working on the gym, I'm always listening to music because like at this point that just feels like it's right. And like that's something I'm kind of curious of like before, and like with people who aren't really like big into technology, like did did they have something to kind of fill their thoughts or like fill their head when doing say this type of stuff, or
I feel like
was it just like the case of they just like freeballed it? And if they did, like, like it's pretty much like what's like the limitations to like how far they would go without like especially like now. Like I know, uh, for an example, my grandmother,
Mhm.
of course, she's my grandmother. She didn't grow up with technology. She didn't have technology in her life until like in like her time span wise, like not like a couple years ago. But
Mhm.
now she's like always on her tablet, like
Wow.
playing games, or she's watching stuff on the TV, or she will be like texting me or my mother. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everything's changing. So I'm kind of curious, like going to the case of like if you would have the same person 20 years ago going to the gym, no earbuds because they didn't have any of that stuff like that.
Mhm.
What about now? Like, do they still just not use like that type of stuff, or have they
Yeah.
kind of been shifted into the way of social norms?
It's kind of crazy to
Because
think about because like you were saying how it's like your grandma you said?
yeah,
Yeah, it really goes to show that like no matter what age you are, anyone can kind of fall into the whole technology kind of thing and like kind of constantly on it. And yeah, like what you said like 20 or maybe like 40 years ago, like when people were just kind of like I guess people were just existing and I found that when I'm not like listening to stuff cuz sometimes I purposely like have to make myself do that is to just like sit in my own thoughts and let myself just sit in silence, because I don't think many of us realize how much we don't sit in silence, because you're either at work or you're at school or you're at the gym, or you're listening to something, or you're doom scrolling, or there's always something to occupy your time, except when you're
Hmm.
sitting in your thoughts, like what happens. And I feel like a lot of people are too uncomfortable to really sit in their thoughts too. So,
I mean, in that's something like I don't do it as often anymore, but there are some times where like I will go home and lay in my bed and just stare at the ceiling. Or
mm,
there used to be times I wouldn't even like lay in my bed. There was times I used to lay on like my hardwood floor and just lay there. And
wow.
sometimes it is like one of like the most like peaceful things.
Yeah, I
Other
bet.
times it and this is why I feel like more people are not as much like nervous to like do that, but probably more scared to do it because a lot of people now have a problem with overthinking.
Oh, yep.
And I know we're probably both very heavily part of that,
Guilty,
but it's like the
guilty.
case of without like anything to fill your thoughts, you get stuck on everything,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
good and bad. And like I'm kind of curious. I know overthinking's always been a thing,
Mhm.
but I wonder if like say social media and stuff like that has done that, like has created that change. And like another like question I kind of wanted to ask throughout this is like, what are your thoughts? Do you think social media has better or worsened our mental health?
Ooh, that's a good question, cuz I feel like there's arguments for both sides really, or at least like from my perspective, I definitely have been exposed to so much more for like the better, but also I guess you could look in hindsight that having like with the overthinking thing. You see TikToks or reels or whatever of like, oh, like signs this guy doesn't like you, or signs that this friend is actually not your friend, or signs that blah or blah, and then you're suddenly like over analyzing everyone now. And I feel like that kind of does create some isolation between people. Or at least that's what's on my For You page. Like I get a lot of like,
Well, not even just that. Like, yeah, you get stuff that might be like, oh, signs they don't like you, but it's also a case of like especially in the case of say relationships for an example, because I know
mm,
that's like a big thing people overthink is
right, yeah,
relationships
mm,
or like what you're doing with your own life.
yeah,
So the problem is like all the time, say you're scrolling through reels, you'll see someone who say younger than you who is like has all this money, has this great job
oh my
doing all these
god,
things, or you
yeah,
say see like this happy relationship that's going on, and that makes you think like, why can't yours be like that? Or maybe even the opposite. You see
mm-hmm.
a relationship that's like these people just broke up that you never thought would, so now you're overthinking like
Like is love
maybe
real?
that's is it real or is it the case of like who says my relationship isn't going in the same way because theirs
Yeah,
didn't look like it would end like that but it did,
yeah, that's true.
or maybe mine showing similar signs of like why there's depleted. So it's like stuff like that. What really like separates that? What like that's why like I personally I try my best to stay away from most social media because I personally think it harms you negatively.
Okay.
Like I think there are some good things that can come out of it, like learning certain things. Like I know there are sometimes like I will say for some of my games I'll look up like on like YouTube or on like Instagram. I'll try to find like different like paths people took or different like stuff like that. And like sometimes I'll even get like some simple news from it.
Yeah, yeah.
And like so like there are some stuff that's beneficial, but I feel like personally the internet is just a very toxic place because like you can run it between like the case of like reels that make you overthink. There's also a case of just people can be very toxic. And as someone who plays video games all the time, I know you could experience the same thing. It's like a lot of people like you could just be being like, "Hey, watch out, someone's behind you," and then you get like yelled at, you get called slurs, or like, "Oh, you guys lost the game." Well, I'm not going to blame myself. Instead, I'm going to blame my teammates, or I'm going to
Yeah.
blame. It's like I just feel like it's getting worse.
Same thing
Like
with
yeah,
like
you
the
have.
internet. Like
Well, yeah, and like I feel like it's intertwined. Like because of course social media wouldn't be a thing without the internet. Like gaming online wouldn't be a thing without the internet. Like it's all kind of leads like because like it's connected to the internet, but yes, they're not like oh like the internet in a long run is a very beneficial thing. But I just think social media is terrible for mental health. You here and
yeah.
there have like your good interactions where it's like, oh, I met this extremely nice person, or this person like is helping me do this or do that, or said these nice things and just really made me feel better about myself. But I don't know about in your experience, but in mine, I think that's like I think that's happened maybe twice in my entire life, and I've been gaming
Yeah.
online for probably close to 15 years.
Yeah. Well, what you said about the whole like, you know how you said like news like gets spread easier now that it's on like the internet and stuff?
Yeah.
um like it's a good thing, yeah, because everyone can be more informed, but also with that said, the only things that really get put on the news are the most like tragic and the most like negative things. So if your like social media is filled with like news stuff mostly, then you're only going to be seeing like all the negative stuff. You're never seeing like, oh, like this person did such a good deed, because no one actually cares. Like no one, like as much as we want to say we care, realistically society just like doesn't really highlight that stuff. We only highlight the stuff that's like shocking or like jaw dropping, and you know, and but when you're only seeing that stuff, it starts to maybe feel like the entire world is only the bad stuff. And like I can
Well, that also leads to the case of like if we look at it in a change of view, also we don't know how much of said news is true.
yeah, that's true.
Like because people can shape stuff however they want.
That's
Like this is
true.
online.
Mhm.
If that's why they say like of course you can't believe everything you see online. I could go on the internet and post right now that the Rock got into a fatal car accident.
Yeah,
If I have enough people look at that,
it might
that's
get
going to
passed
become like a
around.
mainstream thing.
Yeah. Yeah, at least until it gets busted, but for a while it's like anything can be deemed as like quote unquote true until proven otherwise.
Right. And that's the scary thing with the internet is like you don't fully
Yeah, like how much of it
know.
how much
Like
of it
how
is like
how
exaggerated, like
right, exaggerated, how much of it is fake, how much of it is true, but
yeah.
how do you tell? Like realistically, how would you tell?
Especially, well, I
It,
mean, well, clickbait's been around for a while, right? It's basically like long-term clickbait, I guess. And
well, kind of, but it's also like the case of just like it's yeah, it can be kind of seen like that, but like you can't always say figure it out. Like
yeah,
and
cause yeah, it could be true. It
because
could also not be.
well, because right, it could be, it could not be, but you could have say one party posts about say once again we'll just use the same example, the Rock onto a car accident. Have another party saying no, no, he did not. This is fake. Who do you believe?
Exactly.
You don't know
Yeah.
these people.
And
Who do you believe?
exactly. Not everyone will actually go and fact check either. They might just read and be like, "Oh, that sucks," or they'll be like, "Oh, that happened." Oh, you know?
Or just be like other people just message in like the comments, how did it happen? Like,
Yeah, that yeah.
and
You
then
read the
wait for a
comments and
reply.
then
And
yeah.
then boom, you get one person being like, oh, I heard about this. He got hit from the side, like making like just acting like they heard about it, or other people be like,
Yeah.
really? Did that happen? Or there are people like, no, no, they're lying. Like, don't listen to them. Like this would be widespread. And then it just becomes like an
Yeah.
argument. Like 90%
Actually,
of the time, stuff like that, especially comment sections, forums, end up in an argument because
yeah.
you have like your people who are haters, or your people who disagree, or people who do agree, but for the wrong reason.
Well, actually, like on like a more like lighthearted version of that, I guess. Like, do you remember? Did you ever see that like video of like bunnies jumping on a trampoline?
No, but that sounds phenomenal.
That's what
I
I'm
like
saying.
bunnies.
Exactly, but that went passed around for a while. I even believed it was real until someone said it was AI, and I was like, "That's crazy how realistic it can look."
Oh, so I did see something similar. It
Really,
wasn't bunnies. I saw a horse one.
a horse one? What happened?
Granted, I I could tell that it was AI instantly
mhm.
because like it literally was like, oh, you saw a thing of like a horse jumped onto it, and then the horse just flopped onto its side and fell off the trampoline.
Oh, pff, bro. Well,
And
yeah,
then it repeated. I saw another one where it was like a truck. Like a truck did the same thing. Somehow a truck jumped into the air, landed on a trampoline,
that's
fell over to its
crazy.
side.
What's with the trampoline? It's a fascination with trampolines. Uh, yeah, no, but that's the thing is like AI has gotten so much more advanced that at some point we might not know what's real or what's not. And like you can kind of tell in some of the videos now, but like how long until it's like crystal clear, like perfect, you know?
Right, and it's like that's another scary thing. And I do eventually want to actually like more talk about AI,
Mhm.
because like AI is a scary thing.
It's
It
spooky.
really is. It's
Yeah.
extremely helpful, but it is extremely scary, like to think about the fact that like, oh, this computer can now generate a um
Like
like a
anything
whole
really.
nother AI to do this, or it can like generate an image, it can make videos, it can
Yeah.
like so like at some point it's going to replace us. When that might be, who knows? But
R-
eventually it will. 100%. It's 100% at some point going to replace us.
RIP my day
And like,
job.
right,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm a digital media major who wants
Mhm.
to like, get into like video editing.
Yeah.
How long is that going to be a career?
Yeah, no, that's the
Like
thing.
realistically, because like AI can already make videos. How long until it can edit it the way you want it to?
Yeah, yeah, and then like a lot of people might lose their jobs, and yeah, it will make like everything more efficient, but it sucks because it also takes like the creative element of like people who genuinely like to do this stuff, and it gets
Well,
replaced
and then
by
it
AI.
also just kind of like drops off like some like the quality. Like there are a and once again, I don't want to get too in depth of this because I do want to actually have like an entire like episode more about
Yeah,
this.
yeah, I agree.
But it's the case of like, for an example of say like art for like companies for stuff like that. There's a
Mhm.
lot of companies that are starting to only use AI for like their posters or for their infographics, and
Right.
they are completely removing the person from it. And yes, the quality right now is currently lower, but it's the case of it's a business. Cost
Yeah.
effectiveness is always like a huge thing.
Yeah, like more
I know
prioritized.
personally, like I would much prefer to spend $0 and get an okay artwork
Yeah.
compared to spend 500 and get a good artwork.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I will take that like loss in quality and still have like that like monetary like value that I still would have kept compared
Yeah.
to it.
Mhm. No, exactly. And like I'm sure a lot of people, like a lot of businesses especially think that way too.
Of course,
Yeah.
it's a whole marketing thing.
Yeah.
But so
All right, wait, wait.
I'm gonna
I have like a really like unrelated question for you unless you have something else you want to say.
no, what's up?
All right. So it got me thinking, like this whole podcast got me thinking. What do you think would happen if for some reason collectively all of humanity decided we're not going to use the internet anymore?
First off, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah,
I
probably not.
like that. That is something that like there has been
Should be a movie on
like
that.
movie there's movies
Is
that
there?
are similar. There
Is
are movies
there?
that not like the case of internet, but
Mhm.
like there was I can't remember what it was, but I watched something not like incredibly long ago where like to save like humanity they had to turn off it was the Fantastic Four movie.
Mhm.
Slight spoilers, at one point they try to convince everybody to turn off their electricity, like off all their power,
Really?
and that was to
You can spoil
instead
me.
like al- allow them to use like a specific device. And like
Wow.
yeah, they do it in the movie, but
Yeah.
if you think about that logistically,
Like, do you think people would?
there's not a chance. No, not a
Unless you like
chance.
force them to, like suddenly all the phones just
Yeah,
stopped working.
well, yeah, there was like there was like theories that like, oh, they did it and the government turned it off. There was theories that
Mm.
uh like it was forced off instead.
Yeah.
And that would be a possibility, yes.
Yeah.
But in the case of own will, not a chance.
Yeah. Well, like, cause I think about myself too. Like, if someone asked me, like, "Yo, don't use your phone like for X amount of time or like ever again," I'd be like, as much as I tell myself, like, yeah, I could easily do that. Like, I think I would genuinely like. I don't know. Like, I want to say I wouldn't go insane, but I don't know because, like I said, our generation kind of grew up at the beginning of when it was introduced, so it's like basically my whole life has been lived with it. Like all of my I want to say conscious life because I didn't really like start thinking about anything until I was like grade 5 or 6. And then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then that's just kind of been in my life. But also I know the thing is I know I've heard things like, "Oh, you need to take breaks from the internet, like it's bad for you." I know all these things, and yet I still use it. So it's like how willingly would anyone actually go off their phone?
Well, it's also the case of going back to like the earlier talk
Mhm.
of like how much can you believe? Like if
Mm.
someone told you, oh, everybody needs to turn off because it's going to stop this from happening.
Yeah.
Okay, you told me that.
Yeah.
What makes me saying
Wait, Himiko paused for a second because
up to okay?
your audio's not coming through on mine, but hopefully it came on through yours.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Am I coming?
I
I'll just restate what I said. It just
yeah.
cut out for a second.
Okay. Okay.
I said like it's like how do you believe them? Like we said before, what makes me believe you that well like we have to do this to say save humanity, to do this, to do that.
Yeah.
What makes me believe you?
No, that's true. Cause you well, like you can never know. Maybe this person just like is on something and like they're just saying to everyone some kind of random thing and you're like, "Who are you?" You know?
Yeah, there's nothing to really.
Like you'll never know. It's like wait, I don't know. I can't hear you. I don't know. I'm hoping it's recording on your end. Can you even hear me? Hello. Himiko, you died. Himiko, why'd you die?
Am I hearable again? It died on me.
I can hear you now. Maybe we should wrap up the episode.
Well, that was my thing actually dying. I'm just on. I switched. We're good. We're good
Okay,
right this
okay,
second.
okay. Slay.
So pretty much like yeah, it's the case of once again believability. There's you could tell me to turn off my internet. You could tell me to turn off all my power. But what orchestrates that what you're saying is true? What is like pushing me to do this? What like and that's why I think like no one would actually do it. You'd have some people who'd be like, "Oh yeah, let's turn off," but there's not a chance you get everybody
Mhm.
to turn off their internet, to stop using the internet, to do this, to do that.
Mhm.
There's not a chance.
Well, it's like how there's a lot of like sources out there that say like using AI is like using a lot of power, right? And people know these things, but it doesn't stop anyone from really like using it. Like we can be informed, but like to get everyone collectively to stop doing something. Same thing with climate change, right? Like that was a whole big campaign. It still is. We all know about like climate change, but some people still pollute anyways, even if they know that stuff, or they might not even
And
believe it.
there's others that yeah right just don't believe in it.
Mhm.
So it's like, what do you how would you really like get through with that? And that's why like that's just other like huge thing is like I don't ever think that would happen unless it was manually forced, which could happen. Like, of course, the government could like stop all um like everything from being able to project so that we could have internet. They could stop all that, yes, but willingly, not a chance.
Yeah, no. Especially like because everyone's individual, right? There's so many people in the world that like to collectively change every single person's mind is like pretty much impossible. And yeah.
Exactly, and it's um, there's like you said, there's so many people in the world. So how would you convince every single one? Like, what would you have to do? What would you have to say? Because
Mhm.
realistically, there is what right around 8 billion people in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you look at 1/64th, for an example of that,
Mhm.
is 128 million roughly.
That's wild. That's still a lot of people though.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, but if the goal is everybody,
Yeah.
you've only if you somehow manage to convince even that many,
Mhm.
you're still nowhere close.
Yeah.
Like I said, that is 1/64th.
Yeah.
That is nowhere even close to like you're not even close to half the people. You're not even you're not even in the same ballpark.
No, exactly, right? Yeah.
So then it comes to that's being a whole nother issue on its own is solely the amount. Because yes, there's also the case of you do have your people who don't use the internet already for social media or the news. They use it for other things. How do
Mhm.
you reach them?
Yeah. And arguably like I'm sure there's like a lot of people who aren't on the internet just because they just don't have access to technology period, but uh well those people might be easy to convince cuz they're doing it anyways, but which okay, that actually makes me kind of sad though cuz I think about it and I'm like I kind of wish I got to experience like more of life without internet, like without like technology and stuff. Like I guess I'm fortunate enough to kind of be on like the age group that was like on the cusp of like the start of it because I at least got to experience like my childhood without it.
Yeah.
But I kind of wonder what it would be like to live adulthood without it because it's sorry, I'm kind of going back to what we were talking about before. But you see things on the internet like, oh, someone did this or someone's like going to this vacation or maybe to this party and like that does create a lot of FOMO, but if you didn't have the internet, you would only have to hear about things through like word of mouth, you know?
Well, that also comes to a case of going to how you said oh, some people don't have internet, it'd be easier for them. It's actually a decent margin. So it's 33% of people I think in 2023
Mhm.
did not have internet.
Yeah.
So granted that's 2 years ago now, but whenever that was last checked in 2023, around 33% of people, of all of the people,
Wow.
just were offline.
Yeah.
And to give you an idea, 2.5, 2.6 billion people,
Mhm.
that's 33%.
Wow. That's insane.
So it's I'm curious, what's their life like?
Yeah. Like what do you do on a day to
Because
day?
that's something that so many of us take for granted,
Mhm.
especially in both the States or Canada, stuff like that,
Yeah.
is the stuff we have. We have
Yeah.
the internet. We have almost as much food as we want. We have like unlimited water where we can shower and everything all the time. But there are so many people out there who don't.
Uh-huh.
We are lucky because of where we live. So in the case of these people say without the internet, what I'm curious, what do they do?
Yeah,
What
exactly.
what really like has kind of motivated them? Where do they get this other information? Do they know what's going on the rest of the world?
It's a good question.
Because I know I personally don't know a whole lot.
Mhm.
There's your different things I do know. I'll know of whenever. like whenever we had like the Ukraine and like Russia war.
Mhm.
Yeah, I knew of that, but I didn't really know of the big stuff.
Yeah. No,
And I feel
exactly.
like that's how most of us are.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the case of someone without the internet, do they know less? Or is there some way they're getting more information? Because just because they don't have internet, they say might have a TV or might have a radio that's always a go,
True.
or they might not have any of it.
Yeah.
So
Arguably,
like
like, do you think people would have like less worries in the world then?
I I do, and that's kind of going back to like the mental health like side of things. I think without like all of it, I think there'd be like, of course, to some extent, if it's just a case of you completely don't have internet, I think there's less worries because now you're not looking at like, oh, I know this person just got shot or this war just broke out or
Mhm.
this happened. Like it's like
Yeah.
you're not thinking of all of that.
Yeah. Well, you know how I mentioned earlier that like even cuz like for me, I consider myself like when I have my earphones in, I'm kind of just like not in the present moment, but when I'm like not on my phone, not listening to anything and I'm just observing what's right in front of me, like the only things I'm worrying about are what is right in front of me. And I feel like that kind of brings a peace of mind to me. Like I think it's good to be aware about that are going on in the world, but for your mental health, I think just focusing on like what is like right in front of you is gives you a
I
bit of peace.
Well, yes, I agree about that. Like if
Mhm.
you're listening to music or listening to a podcast, you're more like focused on the one thing.
Yeah.
Your brain's not wandering about like what ifs,
Mhm.
stuff like that's not happening.
Mhm.
But like you wouldn't have as many thoughts about that stuff if you didn't know of it happening in the
Yeah,
first place.
it's like
Like
a
look at
cycle.
it a case of look at it the case of say crime rates.
Mhm.
We'll just go off of that.
Yeah.
If you know, say, this specific city has a really high crime rate and you have to go to that city,
Yeah.
you're going to be on edge the entire time.
Yeah, that's true.
You could be listening to music, you could be listening to podcasts, you could be like with your best friend. You're still going to be a little on edge because you know that a lot happens there.
Mhm.
But if you say don't have the internet, don't have a way to know these specific things,
Yeah.
what do you have to worry about? You don't know what's
Exactly.
happening. So
Exactly.
like I feel like it allows for much more of a calmer and more present sense,
Mhm.
like paying attention to what's happening. Because if you don't know what's happened in that area or what might happen in the near future because you don't have like the internet, I feel like it allows you to just be much more
Like present, I guess.
self present as yourself, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I think that's definitely something I want to practice more is being more present because I think like with the internet like we were saying how like we grew up basically with it. It's how often are you just existing? And I feel like it's
Yeah,
important to let yourself just exist too.
and that's what like so many people struggle with is the case of just living life,
Mhm.
like not relying on other constructs.
Mhm.
Like if you are living your life, but you're constantly worrying about, oh, did Jim see my story? Or like,
Yeah.
oh, oh, like my friends are constantly worrying about me and texting me to make sure I'm okay. Like, or worrying about stuff like that. Then it's like, now you're worried about not just what's like right in front of you, but everything else around you.
Mhm.
And then it's the case of like, oh, now it's the case of, oh, say I just heard that, say, COVID is like has a new like wave or something like that. Now you're extremely worried about that,
Yeah.
and now you're worried about what if, and that is a lot of people's biggest problems is what if.
Mm,
What if I get sick? What if they seen this? What if they think differently of me? And I feel
yeah.
like that is heavily like that's always been a thing. Everybody's always worried about what ifs, But I feel like it's a bigger thing now that we have social media, that we have the internet, we have these things that are broadcasting all this information around the world in an instant.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's we're a little bit out of time, so that'll be it for this podcast episode. But if you guys enjoyed it, definitely give us some feedback on it. We will be filming another episode soon, so look out for that. And if you have any topic suggestions, let us know, and we'll um see you next time, I guess. Well, this has been Kawa.
This is Miko.
All right, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast episode of the. Or let me reword that. We'll see. We'll see you next time on the Wait Let Me Explain podcast. Peace, guys.